Hello.
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 And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome
And welcome to
Backseat Genius.
to Backseat G.
The Backseat Genius.
The Backseat Genius.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of ours in the Lorcana community, my name is Miles Cook, and I'm here joined with the Backseat Genius team, plus
Joshua Satterfield.
Joshua Satterfield, top
Oh, Mike.
Nice.
noted top 16 at DLC Seattle, and we are Seattle, dude. And
we just restart?
No, absolutely not. And we are here to discuss on our episode 2, guys, of the Clubhouse with a few new faces, some of the blue-red geniuses of the world. The gentleman sitting next to me, where? Who? Everybody to the left of me has day 2, a Disney Lorcana challenge, a feat that is not easy, achieving what is the average of like a 76 or 77% win rate. Nice job, guys.
Nice.
Been very close. Not quite there yet myself, but that's why I'm surrounded by teammates such as you guys. So today, I want to jump into some basic questions about the deck that all three of you have played. That not only are these three members that have been very successful, but playing a particular strategy, and that is Ruby Sapphire, the Big Control, the Sisu Dragon, the B Prep, the Maui Menace, the Hiram, the I'm gonna get there, I am inevitable deck.
Not Maui Shark.
Not yet, dude. Not yet. Not yet, Maui Shark. So I want to ask all of you guys first, as we get into this. Do we have any tips for people that are looking to day 2, their first event, very challenging, something that is not easy, right? Not easy to come by. How can we help people in the community get an edge in playing in these 9-round grueling events before a day 2 of additional rounds? Dewey, what do you think? What would you recommend?
100%. I think you should only focus on one specific deck. Like for us, we've been playing Ruby Sapphire since like maybe set 3, set 4, and we have like 6 to 9 months of reps with this deck, and we're like, even with the new cards, the deck doesn't change. So definitely grinding the deck, learning the ins and outs of the deck, and then knowing what's the bad matchup. So once you know like the bad matchup, that's when you can rework the deck towards that bad matchup and still have favorable matchup into other decks.
What I'm hearing you kind of say in a way, Dewey, is like you want to have a shell that you believe in, right? The blue-red shell is something that you've been playing for a long time because it's good. Tell me about some of the tech that you've played in that deck that have changed your outcomes. Because I know that we were at DLC Dallas together, an event that you day 2'd. What were some of the things that you implemented to make that blue-red deck at that time, the technology, the special tech?
So in that time back in set 4, everyone was playing the Bucky discard. Right. And then there's also the new red purple Flynn Sisu location combo. Mm-hmm. So I see a lot of people playing like the Vitalis Spear. I see a lot of people playing the Pegasus. I didn't take that route. I did take the Vitalis Spear though. I only play as like a 1-0, but I take it as a Queen of Hearts. So
which Queen of Hearts?
The 2-cost 2/2 Inkable Rush.
Oh yes. Tell me about it.
So the reason why I chose to play that is because it's unexpected for a lot of green steel players. Because in that DLC, I played against 3 green steel in my last 5 to 8 rounds, and then they all quest with Bucky. I played Queen of Hearts to kill the Bucky. I was also still an ice block. So, like, playing turn 1 Ice Block, turn 2 Queen of Hearts has more favorable trades. Yeah. And also, like, being 2/2, it deals with Flynn, killing the Trinabog, the Broom. Yeah. So that's favorable matchup. And same as, like, Tamatoa, Iron Back to Vitalis Spear, or, like, Maui with Vitalis Spear. Right up. It's almost the similar cost of playing Queen plus Maui to out a castle. Nowadays, also Queen plus Maui out a library now too. Mm-hmm. So it has a lot of versatility. I did play against an Agolist, like Steel Song. Like it's also killed the Cinderella, trades into the Shmi. Good against Hyper Aggle, kills the Lilo, still kills like any other thing. And Bra was there at that time. So you can draw the bodyguard, keep swinging to the babies, and then you have more favorable traits.
What I'm hearing is that like the big part of this, Dewey, right, is they do not see this coming.
Exactly.
Right? This is a gotcha. A gotcha on how many do we play, by the way? Played 3?
Yeah, 3.
3 of them. Now, like, I imagine that those are going to turn games on the draw, right? In particular for blue-red matchups that are super challenging, they're going to give you so much tempo back. Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing is that's the technology that helped you turn a meta sort of on its head, so to speak.
Yes.
Okay, very nice, man. And it was very successful at that too, because there were Buckies everywhere that weekend.
Indeed. 100%.
They were everywhere. Josh, man, tell me a little bit about what you'd recommend as another blue-red player. And we'll naturally, I think, get into the rhythm of why blue-red is good. But what would you recommend to somebody trying to push for a day 2 finish?
Yeah, I think, well, 2 things. First thing I would say is, like, don't worry about what record you need to make day 2, because a match you have in 3 rounds from now does not matter in your current round. So just focus 1 round at a time. Don't, like, if you're in the middle of a match and you have thoughts of, like, oh, if I win this, I have a win-in next round, get those thoughts out of your head, because if you don't win your current match, that win-in is gone. So just playing 1 match at a time, I think, is super important. And then just, like, backing off of that, like, when you have a clearer head during matchups, there are, like, small percentage points I think you can get just being more, like, focused on the important stuff and not the things that are out of your control. One example of that was when I was playing for my win-in to day 2 in Seattle. I sat down and my opponent, their life pad, they were using a paper life pad, and they had their lore from last round written down. And so I was able to see that, like, in the way that they were questing, I wasn't playing a mirror match. I knew I was playing against...
It wasn't in 8s and 9s.
Yeah, it was in 2s and 3s, right? So I was like, okay, I know that, like, this is a matchup. I probably want to have some brawls in my hand, some Mauis in my hand. So just, like, paying attention to the information your opponents give you and, like, get all of the, like, what-if thoughts out of your head. And I think it's, like, 1 round at a time. That's all that matters.
Yeah. I hear, like, some interesting just kind of general psychology that accompanies the event, that we're playing 9 rounds. We're going to deal with diversity and we're going to deal with a difficult time. But if we are hyper-focused on how we did last round or how we did, in the last game, we're no longer playing in the moment.
Yeah, especially the last round. Like, in these tournaments, especially in best of 2, the O2s hurt real bad because you get, like, 4 to 5 total game losses, not match losses,
Games.
if you want to make day 2, right? Like, I made day 2 at 5:04 with 0 O2s. If I had 1 O2, I probably had to, like, I probably could have drawn, like, 2 less times. So, like, if you have your bad beats O2, that's in the past. That's, like, what happened. Now you need to focus on, because, like, I've seen people that, like, they start 4-0, start 5-0, and they get 1 O2, and it's just a pivot from there. It's just, like, they thought they had it. They didn't get it right away, and now they, like, spiral out of events. So just, like, whatever happens in your could happen in your next round, like you said, whatever happens in your previous round, get that out of your head. It's not, like, what you need to be focusing on right now.
I love it, man. Stay here. Yeah, I'd love to come back to that as well. Thank you for that, Josh. Tomas, what would you offer people, man, that are trying to make that day 2? Like, I know myself personally, right? I've been right on the bubble twice, 97th and then a 138th, 513 and then 405, right? Not quite there. It's very hard to make it. But if you are to make it, how do you do it?
I mean, honestly, have a plan. You're presumably going to do some testing going into the event. Whatever you learn from that, you're going to build a plan for your matchups, what you're expecting. I mean, of course, every game's going to be different. You got to, take the beats as they come. But as long as you have a plan and you play towards that plan, that's going to help you a lot. Having a bad plan but sticking to it is going to be better than having no plan at all. And honestly, that extends to the rest of the tournament too. Are you going to bring snacks with you? What are you going to do when you get hungry? Are you going to bring a water bottle? Do you know where the bathrooms are? Just, like, having that stuff covered so you don't have to worry about it in between rounds. Yeah. Kind of like what Josh was saying. Like, just take each round at a time, and the more you can set yourself up to not have to worry about the little things that don't matter in the match, the more you can focus on your match.
Yeah. A thing I kind of hear, like, within that is not only, like, a very contextual understanding of your deck and every matchup, but also just, like, a level of comfortability with a tournament setting, right? That you might be in a room with 2,000, 1,800 other people at a DLC, but can we get ourselves to a point where we're just playing a big locals in our head, right? And wrapping our head around that, right?
You got to play with confidence. Even if it's false confidence, you got to play with confidence.
A bad strategy is better than no strategy. I think it's a good point there. What do you think about that, dude?
I think that you saying thinking like is a bigger local might be like a little bit off base. I think you have to see this as like a bigger set champs, where everyone's being competitive, but there's always going to be like a few people you're going to meet that has like positive energy. And once you going into like these DLC, once you see it as like it's just a set champs that again all set champs is like go to top cut, going playing each rounds. And then listen to Josh saying like take one round at a time, and I think that's what like a lot of people don't understand is that if you're too focused on, I hope I don't hit this next round, or I hope I don't have to play against a buddy of mine next round and stuff like that, which I don't think is gonna be the case, but I think that focusing one round at a time, and preparing that like what deck that has a bad matchup against you, and then also like taking notes on. If your opponent is giving you like any information, like the notepads or anything like that, I think that you should be paying attention to just that one point, and don't like listen to anyone around you.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing from you guys, right, too, Dewey, you in particular there, right, is that like because it is so challenging to get a 76% win rate, right, which is by average like what we need to make day 2, and a very important 76, like in particular order, that we need to pick up points wherever we can, and if your goal is to make day 2. We need those it's what Al Pacino said in any given Sunday, right? Like
the inches we need are everywhere around us. Hell yeah!
Like, those points wherever we can get them. Those inches are all over the field, right? And we need them every place that we can find them.
Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the.
Talk to me a little bit about moments where our back is up against the wall, the bad matchups, the places where you guys maybe during that tournament have dug something out in a place where you otherwise wouldn't have. Are there any matchups you guys can remember from your guys' tournament runs in day 2 where it seemed bleak and things improved? Tomas? Yeah, we'll start over here.
Oh, I mean, one in particular comes to mind. Shout out Mr. Dale. He's a great guy. Very strong green steel player. Had to face him in the top 8 round of Chicago. And I, remember our match was really solid. Obviously, he's a good player, playing a good deck. And there was a game where he had 3 Buckies in play all at the same time. I don't know how I did it. I managed to pull out of it. But, you can't sit there and be like, oh, man, this guy's so lucky. Of course, he has 3 of his Buckies. Wow, did he shuffle his deck? Like, no, you look at the cards you get, figure out, what's your plan? What can I play towards? Keep your outs in mind, and just figure out, okay, if I am going to win this game, what does it look like? How do I put myself there? And just go from there.
That we don't, there's no crying in Lorcana. Like, we're just, what's the way out? Right? Is that what I'm hearing you say? That, there are no situations that we can lament and be like, this is over. We play to win.
Yeah, like if you open a whole case of boxes and you don't get an enchanted, you can cry then. But in the middle of your DLC run, that's when you keep it at home. Plus, let's be honest, none of your friends want to hear about the game you had where you mulliganed 5 cards and drew all uninkables. You got to put that behind you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you guys know that better than anybody playing blue-red.
Yeah.
Josh, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I would say
situations.
Kind of similar to what I was saying earlier about one game ahead. I think it's also not just rounds, but games itself. So in Seattle, I lost so I was playing for if I got the 2-0, I'd make day 2, but I needed at least a 1-1 to be able to still be alive.
Yeah.
And I'm playing against Green Steel, and that's probably the match that I tested the most. Blue, Red, Green Steel, the 2 obvious decks going in. So I wanted to have a plan for that matchup. And then game 1, my opponent hit me with the turn 1 Diablo, turn 2 Shift, move it to Cove, turn 3 play Morph, move it to Cove, then Shift Beast, and I lost game 1 very quickly. And then going into game 2, I had like a pretty good like Flaversham hand, but then they were also like coving Diablos. And so it like just staying in the moment, don't thinking like, oh, I'm already down a game. If I lose this, my tournament's over. Like, don't be like worrying about what happened game one, especially like in day two. Both in my top 64 and my top 32, I lost game one. So especially when like if I lose one of these next two, my tournament's over. But just like you got to put that game one aside. That's first half of the football game. Now we're in the second half. We play two halves.
Appreciate you continuing that that metaphor I opened up. And I'm pretty sure I inaccurately name dropped the movie I'm talking about with all the inches are everywhere on the field. What movie is that? That Al Pacino football movie? Is it Al Pacino movie? Is it Remember the It's not Remember the Titans. We're going to do this in post. We're going to do it in post. It's going to be great.
We'll be right here.
It'll be right here. Yeah, that movie. Cheers to that. Love, sports. I think that mental edge when you're playing a deck like Blue-Red Control, right? I think there are fewer styles of deck that put you to that mental test like a responsive, reactive, we're going late kind of strategy, right? Like we see turn one Diablo, turn two, like maybe in the formats past, play Bucky, shift Diablo, pitching something, right? Like the amount of pressure that exists upon us is so great that is immediately like, okay, I have to now, like, how do we get out of this? Because if we don't fix it now, we're gonna lose this game. Playing Blue-Red Control is all you guys do. What are the things that you think can help other Blue-Red Control players? How can you become a better reactive player? And how does that, like, what does that look like? Like, what do you think, Dewey? A deck that isn't aggressive, right? A deck that is reactive in its response to other decks like that.
I guess for me is learning how to mulligan on the play and on the draw. Cause like when I was on the play, I'm always like mulling for like going to set 4. It was set 5. It was always gonna be Popsicle, Teeple, Hiram, and then like Inkables, Removal. Right. But learning that was kind of my mistake was holding Teeple on the play was a disadvantage than a advantage because of Teeple ability of inking an extra card from your hand. You're losing one. Yeah, you're losing one card, and that could have been a huge loss. So now I'm just like mulling for one jump ahead on the play, and sometimes like I keep the Hiram, but I'm also mulling for like a half hour go, so I can ramp into my bigger removal like Medusa into like a B prep by turn 5.
Is some of that fear, Dewey, that you were concerned that if you were inking things on the play, we had the discard matchup, of course, that we were afraid of, right? That like we were more likely to lose cards out of our hand that we didn't even have a chance to play. Is that right?
Yes, but I think that knowing when to play a card and just playing a card is that's another thing you need to learn. Because there was a time against a green steel player in Seattle, I had one extra ink. I had an ice block, but I also had like 3 extra cards in hand. Mm-hmm. But I chose not to play the ice block because that could have been my discard flyer. And then the other card could have been like extra removals I could have done, extra searches I could play, Hiram for sure. So it's like just knowing that you don't need to play this card, and just discard it because you always could add back with Tamatoa.
The contextual complexity, yes, and the fact that like an item in your discard pile as a blue-red player with Tamatoas in your deck is action. Like that's value for later. Like that card isn't even gone. Like discard my dime. Way better than me having to ink it off of a Tipo, like in the worst possible case scenario. I hear that. Understanding the list that you're playing. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Josh, tell me about that.
Yeah, I think one way to get better as a blue-red player, and this is kind of just the fact that the archetype wants to react to what your opponent's doing, is finding ways to get your opponent to move into lines that are beneficial for you. Whether that is not questing with a Flaversham, even though you have an item, because, they probably have the discard spec, so burning their things. Now, because they're not going to discard, they're probably going to jam a beast or something, and then you have the kill spell for it. Whether that is, questing with a Tipo to put pressure in the mirror match because you know that, like, if I can get an early advantage because I have a dime hand, I might need that last 5 lore that I'm missing. So just finding ways to make the game you want to play. Because if you are a reactive player, you want to be predicting the reactions. You don't want it to be, I have no clue what's coming up, or thinking multiple turns ahead.
There's like this thought that I hear within your head in that, right? That like playing blue-red, like I am inevitable.
Yeah.
I will win this game, given this game's course of distance and how long it's going to go.
Yeah.
And it's okay if I, don't have a huge turn this turn, because I play Maleficent Dragon and Be Prepared and Sisu, and these huge houses of cards, and
I think also, especially with blue-red being a ramp deck, like, you're on turn 3, you have multiple lines you could take this game. We could play an aggressive ramp game into Medusa, or we could play a mid-range game with Grandma Talas, right? And so just knowing, okay, in this matchup, this is the type of role I want to take, I think is important.
Beautiful. I love it. Tomas. Tips for blue-red gamers.
I mean, kind of piggybacking off of what Josh was saying is, like, obviously in Lorcana, like, all decks are going to have this aspect, but blue-red especially really rewards you for being able to, kind of like with the plan thing, is envision your end games. Like, figure out, this game in particular is like, okay, I have this type of hand. What game state does this let me play towards that lets me win the game? And especially in the mirrors, like, you go long, now we have answers for dime. And if you can set yourself up in a spot where you're like, okay, I'm ahead, they have to answer what I'm doing, and I have these 2 hideaways in my hand. So if I just imagine that these are stapled to their lucky dimes, then I know I have that angle covered. And just finding ways, this is where practice really helps out, seeing these avenues and finding these game states that are familiar that you can play towards, and just kind of building plans off that.
Yeah. In a way, like, you are playing visions of the future in your own head, right? Like, we have to see this amount of turns ahead.
Yeah.
The victory state is deterministic, but only in the event that we are not playing another blue-red mirror, because in which case, like, it gets quite complicated, right? But that there are, if we plan on winning on turn 15, right, or on turn 16, the way that we play the game of Lorcana radically changes. Like, to give you guys some context, right? Like, I've played a lot of green-purple and a lot of blue-steel in the time I've played Lorcana. Like, my understanding of Lorcana, the way that I play it, is reactive in the sense that, like, I'm looking for a certain 2-drop. I'm looking for Ursula Deceiver against the Steel Song matchup. I'm looking for Sir Hiss against anything that plays Ruby. I'm looking for Bonsai against anything that plays Sapphire. And I am trying to tailored build a hand that will win the game on turn 7, right? But that deterministic end state is a lot more linear, I think, in a lot of ways, than a deck where we are trying to go way over the top. And just because the amount of turns every turn, right? We have ink to deal with, and if you're playing blue-red, we have Fishbone ink to deal with, and we have Tipo ink to deal with, right? And our answers might be more blanket and more simple, but, like, do we have one more answer than they have threat, sort of a situation, right? Biggest threat, guys. Last question today before we head out. Biggest threat to blue-red and the Ruby Sapphire gamers out there, coming in set 6. Do we think, because we can say, and I think anybody in the Lorcana community who's played DLCs, played set championships, could say very easily, blue-red been a beast since set 2. Set 3. It was okay in set. I guess no time with that. Set 3. Last 3 sets anyway. What's the trouble? Is there trouble on the horizon?
Definitely, I think aggro is going to be on the rise. With the new Simba, with that Tiana. Well, the Tiana, the 3 cost that taps so you draw the 3 cards. I don't think that's too much of a problem, because I think Amethyst Komacon is a better card for the aggro deck over Yzma. Yeah. But I could see, like, Yzma being like a red purple deck.
Don't let me derail you. I apologize. You were saying the aggro horizon is.
Yeah, but definitely aggro's being on the horizon, where Simba, when it's extra, it could restand every single character. So you have to heavily ramp into for beat prep. Even the Sisu doesn't cut anymore because of Simba's being a 4-4, I believe, or a 3-3. 4-4. And then Tiana being extra, questing for 2, and you have to pay 3 ink just so you don't lose 3 attack. It's really huge.
Big.
Okay. So we have to worry about new things that are unexerting things, such that our Mauis become contextually worse, and our Queen of Hearts, of course, become contextually worse. Not playing it anymore. Yeah.
I don't think it's the Queen of Hearts that we have to worry about. It's more on the line of our Grandma Chala can't train anymore. Any the bigger characters, so we have to more focus on Shift and Sisu now, or playing I don't think the 3-cost inkable Sisu is any good anymore, because if you just dropping multiple 1-drop, it just becomes a 1-4 now and just doesn't do anything.
You can't trade back for tempo.
Exactly.
I see. Okay, I got you. Thank you, Dewey. Josh, what do you think, man? What do we have to worry about for blue-red on the horizon?
Yeah, I think not only is the Hyperagos early game getting better, but I think there's a lot of times where you're playing against these goat bounce decks where you've stabilized, you can kill them in 3 turns, but they're at 15, 16 lore and they're probably holding a bounce spell in hand, and you're just okay, I need you to dodge goat for X amount of turns, and now they have another goat, the 3-mana 3/3 Rose. That card is going to be seen a lot of play in the purple bounce decks. I think also we just saw a purple-red burn deck, magic term, dealing direct damage to your opponent or gaining direct lore. Just top 8 this past Seattle event. And they got another 1-mana, gain 1 lore, you lose 1 lore in Thievery. So just the ability that people are to just gain lore outside of combat. Yeah. I think they pushed outside of combat lore a lot in this set. And when you don't have counter spells and you don't have ways to stop those automatic stuff, it's a lot harder.
Does it feel like good balance to you?
What's up?
Does it feel like good balance to you as a control player?
No, I wish they weren't able to do that. But it's probably good that they can. Yeah.
What do you think, dude?
You just gotta get Ruby Sapphire a Pete. Just drop a Pete, play no action.
That would be good. Maybe an item.
Super balanced, my friend.
Maybe an item.
A 1-drop item that also draws a card, something like that. I'll take that.
Pete Pop.
Yeah. Pizzicle.
What do you think, Tomas? What's on the horizon? What are we worried about?
I mean, I'll keep it short and sweet. I'll just sum up what these guys said. More good cards at Quest for 2. More ways to gain lore out of nowhere. That's what we got to worry about. That's what we got to compete with. That's what we got to keep in mind building the deck going forward.
Mm-hmm. I know that we are approaching a period of time in any card game where the aggregate amount of cards that exist facilitate more combo-style strategies. We could argue that Tamatoa Dime, as well as Cogsworth Wheel, right, are 2 mini combos within this game where big things happen on the same turn. I think that those are the things that a lot of players are looking out for, right? Trying to find creative new ways to sort of break the wheel, that is aggro, mid-range control. How do you guys feel about that as a closing thought here? Are you guys looking forward to playing combo? Does combo look interesting to you?
No, they just gotta get Red Blue a sync together B prep, and that it would be perfect.
Sisu B prep not enough?
No, it's not.
No, I think the Mufasa might be pretty close to being a little too powerful. That 3-mana untapped Mufasa. I'm not going to give too much spice away, but you can quest a lot of times really easily with that deck. So,
ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. Dewey, Josh, Tomas, thank you guys for your thoughts and your feelings about this. I think, long may he reign, blue-red, the Chicago special, the deck that has taken 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of our 7 team members into a day 2? I can't knock it. It's a deck that's done very well for our squad. And I'm sure it's a deck that'll exist in one form or another for a long time to come. Keep hitting those Hirems, boys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Cheers.
What up, boys? Do that tape.
We're done.
Oh, we have 2 minutes left, and Miles like, let's bring up another topic, baby.
Yeah, I thought we were done after. Well, you also said for the last topic before the last one. No, I was like, oh, gotta go quick.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
At least one of those mic things.
Oh wait, watch out.
Yeah, I don't know where.